There are places on Earth so beautiful that you doubt they really exist, wonders that are both dreamlike and spiritual. China is one such treasure trove. From the silent, icy lakes at the top of the sky, to the ancient stone forests that echo with legends, from the singing deserts to the colorful valleys that look like paintings, each land is a living story, where nature and myth come together. Let's explore these magical places, where beauty is not just to be seen, but to be felt with the soul. Nestled in the deep green mountains of Guizhou Province, the Baili Rhododendron Scenic Area is a living painting of nature. Every spring, millions of brilliant rhododendrons from red, pink, purple to white bloom, covering the mountainous area like an endless carpet of flowers. The sweet scent wafts through the air, combined with the chirping of birds and the gentle breeze, calming the heart amid the hustle and bustle of life. Trails wind through valleys and mountainsides, leading visitors into a peaceful and dreamy world. Not only a natural wonder, Baili is also home to a legend about a flower that symbolizes eternal love and immortality. Locals believe that blooming rhododendrons herald a season of prosperity and peace. And when you stand in the midst of that sea of flowers, all worries seem to disappear, leaving only a feeling of being overwhelmed with emotion and deep gratitude for the pure beauty of the land and sky. If Baili Rhododendron is a brilliant spring love song, then Kanas Scenic Area is a quiet symphony of the four seasons changing on the border of Xinjiang. Hidden among the primeval forest and majestic mountain ranges near the borders of Russia, Kazakhstan, and Mongolia, Kanas appears like a fairy tale dream that is hard to wake up from. In the summer, Kanas Lake is as calm as a mirror, reflecting the emerald green of the mountains and forests. When autumn comes, the entire valley transforms into a brilliant orange-yellow sea, making every step seem like a painting. Winter covers this place in a silent layer of snow, turning every sound into a distant echo. But perhaps what makes Kanas special is the legend of the mysterious giant creature at the bottom of the lake, a part of the sacred soul of heaven and earth that the people believe protects this place. Standing before that scene, one's heart suddenly tightens, feeling a deep connection with nature, as if the whole universe is whispering magical things, reserved only for those who know how to listen. In contrast to the quiet and gentle Kanas, the Tianshan Grand Canyon takes people on a mysterious journey between fiery cliffs and the echoes of time. Nestled in the heart of the majestic Tianshan Mountains, this canyon is like a gateway to an ancient world that has never been touched by human hands. The towering, seemingly endless red cliffs change color with the sunlight from bright orange in the morning to mysterious purple at sunset, evoking a feeling that is both overwhelming and enchanting. Walking through the canyons only a few meters wide, people feel the cool breeze flowing through the cracks of the rocks, carrying with them a deep sound like an echo from the past. Legend has it that this place was once the place where a greedy spirit was punished, turning into stone, and every time a strong wind blew, it was his 1,000-year-old cry. Standing in that space, my heart sank, both in awe and moved by the fierce yet sacred beauty that nature had woven. Leaving the majestic cliffs of Tianshan, we reach a green and peaceful land called Libo Xiaoqikong, a hidden gem deep in the mountains of Guizhou Province. In stark contrast to the majestic beauty of the northern mountains, this place is a gentle harmony of limestone, waterfalls, and clear streams flowing through mossy crevices. Ancient stone bridges span the water, especially the famous Xiaoqikong Bridge with 7 curved spans, as if reminiscent of a time long past filled with fairy tales. The scene soothes the heart, as if all worries are gone with the sound of trickling water and the wind rustling through the foliage. Not only is Libo a place blessed with enchanting scenery, but it is also home to the unique cultures of ethnic minorities, Mao, Shui, Yao, with colorful festivals and long-standing traditions. Standing in the middle of that painting, people are not only amazed by the poetic beauty, but also feel the deep connection between people, culture, and nature, blending in every breath of the green forest. Awakened by the soothing music, colorful Danxia takes us to one of the most brilliant and surreal worlds in China. Located in Gansu Province, this sandstone mountain range seems to have been shaped by the hands of time and wind and rain for millions of years, creating endless stretches of magical colors. Burning red, amber yellow, fiery orange, pale blue all blend into layers of undulating rock, making the entire land look like a vivid painting of the universe. When the sun rises, each ray of light touches the mountain ranges, causing the colors to constantly change, breathtakingly beautiful. Legend has it that this was the ancient battlefield of the gods, and the colors of Danxia are the sacred traces left behind. Standing in the midst of this scene, people suddenly become small, silent in sacred emotions, both overwhelmed by the beauty and filled with deep gratitude for the mysterious earth that we are lucky enough to set foot on. Continuing the journey through the colorful mountain ranges, we set foot on a land known as China's Little Shangri-La Daocheng Yading. Like a fairy tale world left in real life, this place is a perfect harmony of three sacred snow-capped mountains, mirror-like lakes, and endless grasslands. Every step on this land is a step into a sacred space, where the wind blows gently like a whisper of heaven and earth, and the light shines on the snow-capped peaks all year round like halos. Turquoise Lake, Milk Lake, and Qiarong Valley all quietly reflect the blue sky and white mountains, making people's hearts feel washed by absolute purity. The people here believe that Daocheng Yading is the abode of gods, a place where souls are purified. And indeed, in that quiet space, the heart suddenly softens. All worldly concerns disappear, leaving only a deep sense of gratitude for being immersed in one of the most sacred masterpieces that nature has ever created. Leaving the purity and sacredness of Daocheng Yading, we enter a wild and mysterious land, Keketuohai, a rough gem in the mountains of Xinjiang. This place has a beauty that is both rough and majestic, where giant granite blocks rise like pristine monuments amidst deep valleys and vast pine forests. The hundreds of meters high stone walls stand upright, silent and majestic, telling a geological history of millions of years, eroded by wind, water, and time. The silence of the mountains and forests here is not static, but imbued with a kind of raw energy, like a whisper of heaven and earth that has never been interrupted by humans. More interestingly, Keketuohai used to be the land of strategic mineral mines, but today, this place has been given back to nature, becoming a meaningful ecotourism area. When we stand in the midst of that scene, both wild and peaceful, we suddenly realize true beauty does not need to be noisy, but is the quiet harmony between humans and nature preserved with respect. Turning through the great rocky valleys of Keketuohai, we come to a majestic symbol of southern nature, Huangguoshu Waterfall. Located in Guizhou Province, this waterfall is like a giant white silk ribbon, pouring down from a height of nearly 78 meters into the open riverbed, creating a never-ending resounding music of the wilderness. The sound of falling water not only shakes the ground, but also makes people's hearts flutter with each rapid fall. Dozens of tributaries flow from the surrounding cliffs, forming a group of waterfalls that are as lively and majestic as in legend. When the sunlight shines through the misty mist, a rainbow appears like a brilliant crown in the air, making the scene incredibly mythical. Local people believe that the water here brings blessings and healing to the soul. And indeed, when standing before that roaring waterfall, we not only feel overwhelmed, but also feel our hearts purified and strangely relieved. Leaving the roar of the Huangguoshu Waterfall, the journey takes us back to the enchanting silence of the Nyingchi Pine Mountains on the Tibetan plateau. Located at an altitude of more than 3,000 meters, this place is like a parallel world, where every sound seems to be filtered through thin clouds and mist. The ancient pine forests stretch across the mountainside, green all year round and covered with a light layer of mist every morning, making the whole space seem to be immersed in a vivid ink painting. Under the dim sunlight shining through the foliage, each ray of light is like a golden thread, gently intertwined in the air. Local people believe that sitting under the ancient pine tree roots, one can feel the sacred energy of heaven and earth. Indeed, when we close our eyes in the middle of the deep forest, the breath of the wind and the scent of pine wafts like a gentle lullaby, helping people calm down, quietly touching a peaceful place that is rarely found anywhere else. From the dreamy space of the Nyingchi pine forest, our footsteps stop at a sacred land filled with cultural imprints, the Yungang Grottoes in Shanxi Province. Carved deep into the cliffs more than 1,500 years ago, this complex of more than 50 caves, with thousands of large and small Buddha statues, is like a stone epic of piety and transcendent art. The giant statues, some up to 17 meters high, stand majestically and silently in the middle of the vertical cliffs, seemingly silently watching the changing flow of history and humanity. Each fold of the robe, each compassionate smile, carved with exquisite craftsmanship, makes people's hearts quiet in deep admiration. When the afternoon sunlight slant down, the Buddha statues glow with a pale yellow color, creating a sacred scene that is difficult to describe in words. Pilgrims come here not only to admire the art, but also to find a moment of peace, so that in that quiet moment, their hearts can find the enlightenment of ancient beliefs and memories still echoing from the rocks. We continue our journey to the hidden glacier on the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain, one of the most mysterious frozen wonders of East Asia. Over 4,500 meters high, this place is not only the boundary between heaven and earth, but also the blurred border between reality and the ancient world buried in cold ice. Deep cracks like cuts in time, revealing a 1,000-year-old layer of ice sparkling with jade green, silent like the pages of an ancient book that no one has finished reading. When the sunlight shines on the ice surface, the entire glacier seems to glow, reflecting the shimmering light like a mirror of the sky. The air here is so thin and cold that every step becomes slow, as if everything is falling into a state of deep meditation. People say that when standing in the middle of that place, time seems to stop. Only the sound of heartbeats and the sound of cracking ice echo softly, like the whisper of the earth since its birth. Continuing through the cold and legendary snowy land of Hosil, we seem to be lost in a fossil labyrinth Luolong stone forest, where towering limestone pillars rise from the ground as if facing the sky, painting a picture that is both wild and surreal. The towering silver-gray rocks are silent, as if guarding an ancient secret in the middle of the forest. The winding path between the stone pillars forms a natural maze, where people walk while holding their breath, afraid to touch the primitive sacredness that sleeps in every crack. There are strangely shaped rocks, with straight cuts as if they were once polished by a giant hand, a mystery that has never been explained. The locals believe that this is the land where hermits once chose to cultivate, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The most famous legend tells of a traveler who disappeared into the stone forest, leaving behind only a face carved faintly on the deep cliff. And when we stop there, our hearts suddenly quiet down, clearly feeling our smallness before a stone world that knows how to listen and preserve time. From the top of Capulan Volcano, the journey takes us back to the rhythm of human life in Albuquerque, New Mexico's largest city, where modernity and tradition meet under the sunny highland sky. Founded in 1706 as a Spanish colonial outpost, Albuquerque still retains a sense of its past in its cobblestone streets and quaint adobe roofs. However, the city isn't asleep to history. It's alive with contemporary art, science, and culture. Route 66 cuts through the city with its nostalgic neon signs, while the filming locations of Breaking Bad have transformed it into a pop culture icon. Albuquerque isn't just a place. It's the beating heart of New Mexico, where every corner echoes with an untold story. While the city of Albuquerque is still shrouded in morning mist, a colorful miracle begins to unfold in the sky. The Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, the world's largest hot air balloon festival, transforms the October sky into a living, breathing canvas. Each year, more than 500 hot air balloons from all over flock to this open highland sky, gently lifting off into the brilliant dawn light. Shiprock is not just a rock. It is a sacred symbol rising from the ground like a fossilized giant, silent and majestic. Lying alone in the arid plains of New Mexico, the jagged rock peak like a sharp cut into the sky, Shiprock carries within it the story of millions of years of formation and thousands of years of spirituality. This is the core of an ancient volcano. The remains after time and wind eroded the surrounding soft soil. But for the Navajo, it is more than just a geological heritage. It is a winged rock where the spirits of their ancestors were brought to this land by a mythical bird. Standing at the foot of Shiprock, people suddenly become suffocatingly small, as if facing a door between the mortal and the mythical. The sacredness, solitude, and surreal beauty of Shiprock makes anyone who sets foot here feel like they are touching something beyond reason, a humbling reminder of life, Mother Earth, and things we do not fully understand. And then, as the sunset light falls through the crevices of Shiprock, if you continue south, you will encounter another wonder, Cove Arch, a lonely stone arch carved by time and fire. Nestled at the foot of the sacred rock, Cove Arch is like a stone gate leading into the depths of ancient memory. Not massive, not arrogant, but its quietness and hidden location give this place a mysterious and difficult-to-name look. The ancients said that it was once a shelter, a silent meeting place of ancestors, where souls listened to the wind telling stories about the earth and the sky. When standing under that stone arch, all sounds seem to quiet down, leaving only the beat of one's heart echoing in the empty, sacred space. And then, when the organ peaks gradually sink into the final sunset, the journey takes us to a place that seems to be outside the earth, White Sands National Monument. A silent ocean of pure white sand stretches to the horizon, sparkling like snow under the desert sun. This is the world's largest gypsum field, where every drop of water, every gust of wind and time has silently kneaded the soft, undulating sand dunes like waves. When we set foot on the cool sand in the harsh summer sun, it feels like we are entering a dream, where all sounds are swallowed by absolute silence. Here, people come not only to look, but also to listen, to the sound of sand sliding under their feet, the sound of wind whispering through the sand, and even their own echoes in the endless space. White Sands is not a destination, but a temporary realm, where time, gravity, and reality seem to melt in the brilliant light of a pristine world. While the dazzling light of White Sands still lingers on the white sand dunes, the journey turns around, pulling us back underground, into a deep and magical underground universe called Carlsbad Caverns National Park. Beneath the arid lands of New Mexico lies a vast limestone maze, where time has dripped water to carve out magnificent stalactites, stalagmites, and cave arches like natural cathedrals. Entering the big room, the largest stone room in North America, we cannot help but be amazed by the surreal structures like living sculptures shimmering under the soft light. This place was once discovered by Jim White, with only a rudimentary rope ladder and faith in the great. Amidst the dense silence, Carlsbad Caverns whispers about a primeval world, where nature creates silently but leaves behind wonders that make people bow their heads in admiration. Nestled among the Sacramento Mountains of Lincoln National Forest, Cloudcroft appears like a small gem in the mist, a village in the clouds, where time seems to slow down to make room for memories and emotions. Established in the late 19th century as a rest stop for the logging railroad, Cloudcroft still retains its pristine and nostalgic look in every wooden roof and every remaining bridge. This place once had a hotel with the world's tallest elevator in 1910. But even when that building burned down, the spirit of the village never faded. As the morning mist crept through the tall pine trees, as the sound of wheels rolling on the old wooden bridge echoed in the quiet space, Cloudcroft brought a vague feeling between reality and dream. Not a popular destination, but it is the simplicity and quietness that make this place the perfect stopover, where people not only rest, but also find themselves in the sweet breath of the mountains and forests. Leaving Cloudcroft in a thin mist, the journey continues northwest, where the Sierra Blanca towers like a sleeping god between heaven and earth. This ancient volcanic mountain range carries layers of andesite and rhyolite that have cooled for millions of years, but its majesty has never faded. With the highest peak outside the Sangre de Cristo range, Sierra Blanca is more than just a landmark. It is the skyline of a sacred land. In winter, snow covers the peak, painting a pure and majestic picture where skiers touch the sky at Ski Apache, a unique resort that uses recycled water to create artificial snow. But Sierra Blanca is not only modern, but also bears traces of prehistory in the limestone layers at the foot of the mountain, where there are traces of marine fossils from when this place was once the ocean floor. Standing at the foot of Sierra Blanca, one can feel something beyond geology and time, the sacred existence of a mountain that carries the spirit of heaven and earth. From Sierra Blanca, a road winding around the mountainside will lead one to Monzhou Peak, where the majestic beauty is condensed into a lonely rock peak, where the sky seems so close that one can touch the clouds. At an altitude of nearly 9,600 feet, Monzhou Peak is not noisy, not bustling, but appears as an absolute quiet spot in the wild nature. On that peak, the stone fire tower built in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps still stands, with thick walls and steel shutters designed to withstand both thunder and time. When one stands there, looking out over the vast valley and the mountain range, one feels like looking into the ancient face of the earth. Monzhou Peak is not as bustling as famous landmarks, but its silence, steadfastness, and vastness instill in people an indescribable feeling, a moment of dialogue between humans and the sky. From the silent cliffs of Bandelier, the flow of time continues in a tangible way, through the Rio Grande, the lifeblood that winds through the heart of New Mexico. Long and silent, the Rio Grande is not just a source of water, but an ancient memory that has nourished both people and land for thousands of years. Following the tectonic fissure called the Rio Grande Rift, the river bravely crosses the plateau, crosses the plains, and weaves its way into deep canyons. There are sections where the water flows swiftly and powerfully. In other places, the river seems to stop, exhausted by human exploitation. Yet, it still flows, silently remembering every farming rhythm, every festival season, every footprint of the indigenous tribe that once sat on the banks singing to the moon and stars. The Rio Grande does more than divide geography. It connects history, culture, and belief. And on the quietest days, when the morning mist still hangs over the water, you can hear something very ancient, the whisper of an immortal flow. As we follow the Rio Grande to its deepest point, we come face to face with the Rio Grande Gorge, a giant crack that tears the ground as if the earth had once sighed and left an eternal mark. This canyon is 800 feet deep, the result of millions of years of rivers gnawing at the hard basalt rock, creating a canyon that is both majestic and mysterious. Standing on the edge, the wind blows strongly like an echo from the ground, making the traveler's heart beat faster with overwhelming. The steep cliffs act as a wall protecting the past, while below, the river still flows quietly, although exhausted from exploitation, although there are sections that have completely dried up. For the indigenous people, the Rio Grande Gorge is not just a terrain, but a place where the soul can go up and down between the visible and invisible worlds. There, space opens up endlessly, but also closes very close, making us feel ourselves small, but inseparable from this vast land and sky. Leaving the peak of Monzhou, where the sky seems close to the roof, we continue our journey to a world that seems to be carved by pure imagination. Keketuohai Tent Rocks National Monument. The unique cone-shaped rocks here, formed from volcanic ash and pumice accumulated millions of years ago, stand tall like hundreds of stone tents, silently guarding an ancient secret. The name Keketuohai in the Karasan language of the Pueblo people means white cliffs, and indeed, when the sunlight slant through the narrow canyon, the whole land seems to glow in a surreal light. Walking through narrow crevices, weaving under natural towers, one is not only traversing terrain, but also traversing the Earth's memory. Once a temporary shelter for ancestors, this is now sacred land managed and protected by the Cochiti Pueblo people. Keketuohai is not to be conquered, but to be quietly contemplated, an endless poem of stone in the New Mexico desert. From Keketuohai, our footsteps lead northwest, where Bandelier National Monument unfolds like a living painting carved into the cliffs of time. The volcanic tuff cliffs here were once the homes of the ancestral Pueblo people, who carved out more than 1,000 chambers, corridors, and sacred sanctuaries from the 12th century. Bandelier is not just an archaeological site, but a place where time seems to have not yet passed. From the intersection of 4 states, we continue along the dark, charred stone roads to a land with a haunting name, El Malpais National Monument, meaning the Bad Land in Spanish. Thousands of years of frozen lava flows have created a maze of basalt, underground caves, and lava tubes that stretch deep into the earth. To pass through El Malpais is to pass through the chaos that has been cooled by nature, where fire and darkness coexist. Caves like Big Skylight Cave remain at a constant temperature year-round, with ice layers that last until July, like moments stuck in time. This is not a land of comfort, but a land of truth, where beauty does not please, but rewards those brave enough to peer into the cracks of the earth. Hidden deep in the lava fields of El Malpais are a pair of twin wonders, Ice Cave and Bandera Volcano. Bandera is a dormant cone volcano, but within its collapsed lava tube, Ice Cave maintains a year-round temperature of just 31 degrees Fahrenheit, preserving a layer of ice nearly 20 feet thick for millennia. The ice here is more than just frozen water. It also contains pollen and debris from our ancestors, like a frozen time machine in a fiery world. From the Ice Cave and Bandera Crater, a narrow trail leads to Galaya Overlook, a spectacular viewpoint along the Continental Divide Trail, where the view opens up to a panoramic view of frozen lava flows stretching to the horizon. Galaya is not as high as a mountain peak, nor as deep as a canyon, but it contains within it the majestic stillness of nature. From here, We can clearly see the Zuni Mountains looming in the distance, surrounded by rough, rugged basalt carpets, the legacy of ancient eruptions that humans once tried to avoid, but now stand and watch with a quiet heart. Every step here is like stepping on the wordless legacy of the earth, silent, powerful, and without anyone needing to prove its beauty. Leaving Galia Overlook, we go to Capulin Volcano National Monument, where a perfect cone-shaped volcano still silently guards the vast grasslands of northeastern New Mexico. Capulin's almost perfectly symmetrical shape makes it different. Not fierce, not cracked, but like an ancient monument created by nature itself. Formed about 58,000 years ago during the final stages of the Raton-Clayton volcanic field, Capulin no longer erupts, but its rich basalt soil still supports pine forests, scrublands, and grasslands year-round. Driving around the crater to the top, one can see 4 states, as if standing in the heart of the Wild West. At the foot of the mountain are stories of indigenous people, pioneers, and even geologists who quietly reread the history of the Earth through each layer of rock. Spanning the overwhelming majesty of the Rio Grande Gorge is a structure that seems to reaffirm the desire to bridge the divides, the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge. This steel arch bridge soars 650 feet above the river below, making it one of the highest bridges in the United States. Stepping onto the bridge, you feel like you are walking between heaven and earth, where the only sound is the wind whistling through the railings and the endless space below. Completed in 1965, the bridge is not only an engineering marvel, but also a symbol of harmony between ancient nature and modern wisdom, between wilderness and hope. Although there are no emergency lanes and only narrow pedestrian walkways, this place attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors each year to experience the feeling of floating between the abyss and the sky. Standing in the middle of the bridge, you don't just see the landscape, you feel the depth of the world and the courage of people facing seemingly insurmountable boundaries. Leaving the bridge suspended between the sky and the abyss, the journey continues to lead us to a unique intersection, Four Corners Monument, the only place in the United States where 4 states meet at one point: New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. In the middle of that arid and desolate land, a simple bronze plate marks the intersection. But its meaning goes far beyond geography. This is not just a place where you can put your hands and feet on 4 states at once, but where 4 cultures, 4 histories, 4 streams of people meet and intersect. This land has long been under the management of the Navajo people, and every year, they welcome thousands of visitors to admire, not just to take pictures, but to understand more about the border. Not something to separate, but to connect. Leaving Cove Arch in the fading afternoon light, the journey continues to take us to an almost alien world, Bisti Denazin Wilderness, a wilderness where imagination is freed from all limits. Here, time seems to be lost among the layers of colorful rocks and blocks of earth that have been kneaded by wind and rain into hundreds of strange shapes. Cracked eggs, fragile stone pillars like fairy towers, dark mounds like traces of a lost civilization. Every step on the cracked earth is an adventure into the past of the planet. When this place was once an ancient riverbed, then submerged under volcanic ash. The Navajo call this place by its evocative name, the land of shale hills and standing cranes, like a sacred painting created by the gods. There are no trails, no signs, just you, the wind, and the majestic silence. Bisti is not simply a landscape, but the pure feeling of being lost in the surreal beauty that nature leaves behind. Passing through the wilderness of Bisti, where the earth and sky transform into abstract sculptures, we continue our journey south and suddenly face a mountain range rising sharply like stone flutes. That is the Organ Mountains. The name is not accidental, because the granite peaks stand like giant organ pipes, quietly resounding the music of time in the vast desert. When the sun sets, the red light dyes each rock edge, creating a scene that is both majestic and sacred. Leaving the mysterious depths of Carlsbad Caverns, we head north, where humans have been in harmony with nature for centuries. Taos Pueblo, the silent beating heart of living history. In the midst of the wind-blown plateau, sun-baked adobe blocks are stacked like honeycombs of earth, standing firm through more than 1,000 years of change. This is not just a village. It is a living testament to the resilience, the unyielding spirit of the Pueblo people in the face of time, invasion, and modernization. Every earthen wall, every blue door, every narrow path carries within it the memories of ancestors, traditional festivals, community gatherings without electricity or running water, but filled with connection and respect for nature. When we enter Taos Pueblo, we don't just see the past, we live it. In its unadorned simplicity, this place evokes a profound truth. That civilization is not something new, but something that exists in harmony with the earth and sky. Following the ancient rhythm of Taos Pueblo, we cross the southern land to reach Lincoln National Forest, where pine forests, cool streams, and historical memories intertwine in every leaf. In contrast to the dry desert or the quiet volcano, this place radiates a gentle, cool vitality, like the protective canopy of Mother Nature. This is the place that witnessed the birth of the legendary symbol Smokey Bear, a reminder that forests need to be preserved with all our hearts. Walking on the shady trails, listening to the wind blowing through the pine forest, the traveler feels soothed, healed, because Lincoln is not noisy, but enough to make people's hearts quieter, deeper,